What's up, everybody? This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles, the DB Talking Now podcast. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Happy Saturday, everyone. Obviously, we're looking forward to the football games tomorrow on NFL Sunday. A few news and notes about the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, obviously, Derek Barnett had been on the COVID list all week, and he just was recently activated. So that is good news that we're going to have Derek Barnett play in this game, even though he can piss us off sometimes. We know that with some of the aggression and some of the borderline dirty play that he can come into a game with, it is good to have him activated and ready to go for tomorrow's game against the Washington football team. Why? Because it's going to be a huge game. It is a huge game, and I'm hoping that it doesn't fall into the category of a trap game for the Philadelphia Eagles, because it certainly cannot be. This is certainly a game that the Philadelphia Eagles cannot lose. That is for damn sure. The Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, as we've talked about over the past week, the Philadelphia Eagles have a shot at clinching a playoff berth this week. Now, obviously, they have a few things that need to happen. The Vikings need to lose to the Green Bay Packers. The San Francisco 49ers need to beat the Houston Texans. And most importantly, the Philadelphia Eagles need to beat the Washington football team. But with that being said, again, I think it's awesome that Derek Barnett is activated and good to go. So we don't have that many guys on the COVID list now at this point. A few guys are still on the injury report. However, most notably, obviously, Jordan Howard is listed as questionable for this game. Running back Jordan Howard. Miles Sanders is listed as out for this game against the Washington football team. But however, and that's something that we talked about earlier in the week, obviously, that Jordan Howard, we kind of predicted that Jordan Howard would probably be questionable for this game. But the good news is this. The Philadelphia Eagles did elevate two guys from the practice squad to the active roster, and neither one of them were a running back, which is indicative of good news for Jordan Howard, indicative for Philadelphia Eagles fans to feel good about Jordan Howard's chances of playing this Sunday against the Washington football team, because none of those elevations were, in fact, running backs, sort of the likes of, a Jason Huntley or someone along those lines. In fact, the two elevations that the Philadelphia Eagles did call up were rookie linebacker Jacoby Stevens and defensive end Cameron Malveaux, I think is how you say his name. It's spelled with an X, so at the end. So I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name, but I'm sure we'll figure it out sooner rather than later. Hey, if he makes a great play on Sunday against the Washington football team, I'm sure we'll be talking about Cameron Mahamalaba as soon as he makes that great play. Guys, Jacoby Stevens, I'm kind of excited about the fact that he's finally elevated to the active roster. I know it's kind of a long shot for him to make any significant impact. Same thing with Cameron Mahalabalababa. But Jacoby Stevens was a guy that I was kind of excited about when we drafted him coming into this season. He's a safety converted to a linebacker. Received some coaching earlier in training camp, and then as soon as he received some coaching, he had a phenomenal interception off of Jalen Hurts on that one day in training camp, and then got hurt later in the day, unfortunately. So then he just got moved to the practice squad, and he's just kind of been sitting there all season long until this point. But hey, I mean, how cool would it be to have the Eagles put in some of their backups late in the fourth quarter, kind of similar to what they did against the New York Giants. We saw Zeke McPherson get some playing time last week against the New York Giants and some other guys as well. It'd be cool to see Jacoby Stevens get some playing time against the Washington football team. And hey, how cool would it be if he was able to pick off whoever the fuck they're starting at quarterback for the Washington football team? Now, obviously, it's going to be Taylor Heineke. But, Ron Rivera has been kind of playing this hit and miss. Who's it going to be? Where's Waldo sort of situation? Is it going to be Taylor Heineke? Is it going to be Kyle Allen? Jabby-dabby-dabby-da. Look, some Philadelphia Eagles journalists and some other journalists around the league are thinking, well, if Taylor, I think what he's coming to, what he's getting at, what he's insinuating is that if Taylor Heineke is not playing good, then they're gonna probably put in Kyle Allen. But from the sounds of it, on WIP 610 WIP in Philly is that they were gonna go with this dual sort of system at quarterback, which never works. And I'm not sure what Ron Rivera is thinking, but I don't really care who's playing at quarterback for the Washington football team tomorrow, this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I have faith that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go out. They're going to take care of business no matter what. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to get back on track now that Landon Dickerson, their starting left guard, Landon Dickerson, is going to be back in the lineup. They're going to get back on track, and they're going to put up 200 rushing yards on the ground like they normally do, similar to what they did less than 2 weeks ago, honestly, because obviously, as we know, the game that should have been 2 weeks ago was moved to Tuesday, so it is less than 2 weeks ago. I think that they're going to do something similar to that. Maybe not 200, but I definitely believe that it's going to be about maybe 145, 150, 155, 160-ish. We'll see. And honestly, that streak of 175 plus or whatever it was on the ground per game for the Philadelphia Eagles, that streak wouldn't have come to an end this past Sunday against the New York Giants if Miles Sanders didn't go down. Miles Sanders was on pace for a big game before he got hurt, and unfortunately he got hurt. And as I said, I'll go ahead and repeat myself, Miles Sanders will be out this week against the Washington football team. But hey, we still have Jordan Howard. I believe Jordan Howard's going to play. I don't think there's any cause for concern there. It's not like they called up Jason Huntley or anything like that. Jordan Howard's probably going to play. Then you still have Boston Scott, and you still got Kenny Gainwell, and we have good things to look forward to. King, welcome to the chat today, my man. Happy New Year, my dude. Happy Saturday, all of the above. Is Jordan Howard playing, says King. I believe so. I believe he's going to play, and the reason why is because the Philadelphia Eagles, they did elevate 2 practice squad players today, and neither one of them were a running back. So I think that kind of indicates that Jordan Howard is going to play tomorrow against the Washington football team. In fact, they elevated rookie linebacker Jacoby Stevens and another defensive end, Cameron Malavava or something like that. I don't know how to say his name. We can call him whatever you want to call him, Malabalaba or Malavavu or Shabi Duba or whatever. But hey, if he gets some playing time in tomorrow's game and he makes a big play, then I'm sure we're going to be hearing how to say his last name as soon as he makes that big play by Merrill Reese, none other than the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese. King says, plus Happy New Year, man. You as well, brother. You as well, my man. I hope 2022 brings us all great joy, kindness, patience, and empathy and love and serenity and la-da-da. Oh, nothing but good things. Unfortunately, obviously, there was the news that kind of started off New Year's Eve, which was the news that Betty White passed away. So she went on the final day. She passed away on the final day of 2021. But so my heart goes out to Betty White, and I'm sure she's kicking it somewhere, wherever she's kicking it. And what a long, great, fruitful career that she had, and great, fruitful life, and just an awesome person, and a tragic loss. But I'm sure she's Betty Whiting it up wherever she is. So my heart goes out to her family, and my heart goes out to Betty. But yeah, no, I'm really excited about this game tomorrow. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take care of business. I think Jordan Howard's going to play, and I'm really excited about the fact that they called up rookie linebacker Jacoby Stevens, King, because it might be a long shot here, but he was one of those guys that I was really excited about after we drafted him. I think it was the 6th round. So I'm excited that he's finally going to be able to be on the active roster for game day. That's cool with me. I'm hoping that he gets some playing time, that we can put in some backups in the 4th quarter, kind of how we did against the New York Giants. Excuse me. King says Betty White was the most humble woman, man. Rest in peace. We need more people like her. I completely agree. And no, it's a sad loss for sure. I always loved watching Betty White, and loved listening to her interviews, watching her interviews. I read a couple biographies about Betty, and just she seemed like a great person through and through, and yeah. But hey, I'm sure she blessed us all with it for the oncoming year. I'm sure she blessed us all for the oncoming year. So in Betty fashion. Yeah, I mean, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to tomorrow? I was going through for tomorrow's game, Washington football team versus Philadelphia Eagles. Some of the things, I was going through the message boards, and some people are really excited. Some people think that, Tyree Jackson is finally going to make an impact, because obviously we've been seeing him out on the field more often as of late. And I think one of the things I saw recently was somebody predicted he was going to get 40 yards and a touchdown, which, I mean, sounds great to me. I would totally be down for Tyree Jackson getting 40 yards and a touchdown, and that sounds plausible to me, especially against the Washington football team. But truth be told, I mean, if the way that Dallas Goedert played against them is any indicator of how he's going to do tomorrow against them, then I think it's going to be the Dallas Goedert show. And we have some things to talk about Dallas Goedert, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But what are some things that you're looking forward to, my man, as far as tomorrow's game? Me personally, I want to see more from Jalen Hurts. I want to see him do. I want to see him do more. I got to see him do more. I want to see him continue to progress, continue to improve, and I want him to show signs of that. I think, even though it was a slow start last week against the New York Giants, I think he came back, bounced back well, and had a phenomenal rest of the game. So those are sorts of the things that I'm looking forward to. But obviously, I'm looking forward to him giving us an early lead in this game. That's one of the things that I think is going to be most important going down the stretch here. Mike Nixon, Happy New Year. Toxic Falcons, Happy New Year to you guys. Happy 2022. Happy Saturday. One love. Mike Nixon says, what's up, DB? Happy Saturday, bro. Happy New Year, bro. Just going to sit back and watch WWE pay-per-view tonight. Nice, bro. Nice. I'm not a big follower of the WWE, so who you watching? Fill me in. Toxic Falcons, what's up, my man? Happy Saturday, bro. Who we got this week, guys? Let's talk some matchups. Let's talk some ball. Let's talk some score predictions. Let's do all of the above. For those who just joined, it looks like Jordan Howard is going to go. That's my speculation. Running back Jordan Howard is going to be active for this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, even though right now he is listed as questionable. Miles Sanders is listed as out. But the Eagles did elevate 2 guys from the practice squad, and neither one of them were a running back. So in my personal opinion, that just seems like it's indicative of Jordan Howard is actually going to play. They're probably going to limit his touches, though. That's what I believe is going to happen. They're probably going to limit his touches. They're probably going to give the ball more so to Boston Scott and sprinkle in Kenny Gainwell here and there, Professor Gainwell himself in there, and continue to take advantage of Dallas Goedert against his Washington football team, because I believe that they're going to have that again. And obviously, speaking of Dallas Goedert, the dude's got to get the drops corrected. If you want to be an elite tight end in this league, you can't be having mental errors about dropping the football. And he's not a guy that has issues with dropping the ball because of his hands. It's mental errors. You want to be an elite tight end, you got to get rid of the mental errors, catch the ball, bring it in, and then get your yak yards. Then get your yak yards. Boom, boom, boom. Take care of step one before you're on to step two. Plain and simple. Otherwise, you're going to be missing some screws. Toxic Falcon says, I'm watching day one also. You're watching day one also. What does that mean? Is that a WWE thing? Is that a WWE thing? What are some things that you guys are looking for the first game of 2022? Mike says, I was going to watch Roman Reigns, but unfortunately he tested positive for COVID, so that's a bummer. Another match I'm excited for is Fatal 5. Fatal 5-way match for the WWE champion. Nice. Nice, nice. And that sucks. I mean, that one. Nice, but it sucks that Roman Reigns tested positive for COVID. It's never a good thing. Never a good thing. Let's get into some score predictions, huh? Let's get into some score predictions. So we got, obviously, I mean, let's just start off with this game with the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington football team. I'm gonna say they take care of business, guys, and they do not allow it to fall into a trap game. I think it's going to be 24-10. Got to be completely honest. I think it's going to be 24-10. Toxic Falcon says 31-28 Washington. You're only saying that because that benefits your Falcons in some weird way. But that's okay. Mike says my excitement won't happen into February until the combine. Yeah. Obviously, the Eagles are probably going to go to the playoffs, but I'm excited. It's hard not to look forward to the offseason. Especially because we have 3 first-round picks, which is crazy. It's crazy that we have 3 first-round picks. Tox Falcon says yes, it does. I know it does. Unfortunately, I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to handle business tomorrow. Mike Nixon says my Giants are going to lose 100-0. Wow. Who do they play tomorrow? Who do the Giants play? Oh, the Chicago Bears? Nah, they're not going to lose 100-0. No, I think it's going to be a close game, actually. Toxic Falcon says the Giants suck. I think we're all in agreement there. Unfortunately, sorry, Mike Nixon, but he knows that. I mean, I'm not saying something that you don't already know. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a blowout against the Bears. I think it's or I don't think it's going to be a blowout in general. I think it's going to be a closer game than we think. But I will give the game to the Bears at the end of the day. I will say that. I will give the game to the Bears at the end of the day. The next game, obviously, guys, is the Los Angeles Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Los Angeles Rams, they're fighting for that 2 spot, right? They're fighting for that number 2 spot in the NFC playoffs, and to keep the lead in the NFC West. Because the Cardinals, and trust me, I went on a rant about the Cardinals and Kyler Murray and Zach Ertz and all of the above on Thursday, and because the Cardinals just absolutely lost their chance, lost their shot at any of the top 2 seedings, pretty much. Number 1, number 2. Now they're fighting for number 3. Blah da da da. So the Los Angeles Rams are fighting for that 2 spot. So they're going to be playing their guys, and they're going to be playing tough. They play the Baltimore Ravens. I think that the Rams are going to come out and they're going to play really good against the Baltimore Ravens. Plus, I'm not even sure that Lamar Jackson's going to go. Docs Falcon says, are the Giants going to keep Jones? I heard that. So this is what I recently heard. I heard that they were thinking of bringing in somebody for competition. So I think that they want to keep Jones, but they definitely want somebody to compete, which I think is smart. I think is smart on any football team, no matter who you have, unless obviously it's like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Then you don't necessarily need to bring in a guy to compete because you know who your guy is. But my thing is this, I get a little finicky, and I get myself stuck in a gray area when it comes to the Giants and Daniel Jones. And the reason why, and I've said it over and over again, is because they have no offensive line. Their GM, David Gettleman, never upgraded their offensive line. Does Daniel Jones do some things well? Yes, he does. He can throw the ball well. He's inconsistent with it, but he has the potential to throw the ball well. You know, I'm not gonna overplay. I'm not gonna underplay Daniel Jones's ability. And then also he has the possibility of running the read option successfully because he's got fucking wheels. Daniel Jones has fucking wheels. So I get myself into a gray area anytime I talk about the New York Giants and any type of quarterback situation because they need to address the offensive line. That should be their main focus. Bring in some fucking stalwarts for that offensive line. And then let's talk. Then let's talk about going out and getting a different quarterback. That's what my opinion is on the New York Giants. That's what my opinion is on the New York Giants. Build up that offensive line. And then let's talk. But yeah, if you want to bring in some competition for Daniel Jones while building up that offensive line, that's fine. That's fine. But don't get rid of Daniel Jones while you're doing that because you don't know how he's going to perform underneath. You don't know how he's going to perform with a better, upgraded version of an offensive line in front of him. You just don't. Because you haven't had one. Mike says, we don't suck. We are way worse than suck. We are a walking, steaming pile of dog shit. Excuse my language. That's funny. We are a walking steaming pile of dog shit. Here's the thing. I think that the Giants have talent. You know, the Giants have talent on their defense and the Giants have talent on the offense. There is something broken. There's a missing link, there's a missing tool, there's this and that on both sides of the ball. Obviously Kadarius Toney is supposed to be a phenomenal player. Kenny Golladay is a decent player. He's not a bad player. Did they overpay Kenny Golladay? Yeah, they probably did. Daniel Jones has some talent. He has enough talent that you can work with. He's not an elite level quarterback. He's not going to live up to his draft position where he was drafted, but he does have some shit that you can work with. Again, it comes down to the offensive line. And honestly, with the talent that they have, it also comes back to coaching for me. It comes back to Joe Judge. It does. And I think that there's things that could be fixed on the New York Giants with a few moves and a few upgrades. And God almighty, I hope that they do the right thing with those 2 first-round picks. I hope that they do because it's just pain. And trust me, it's hard to say that as an NFC East rival. It's hard to say that as a fan of the Eagles. But God almighty, it is painful to watch year in, year out. To watch the New York Giants make the same goddamn mistakes over and over and over again. Upgrade your offensive line. Jesus Christ, Lady Hamlet, my Lord. Mike Nixon says, I mean, he drafted Andrew. He drafted Andrew Thomas. He's playing as a top 3 offensive lineman. Yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, but there's others. There's other positions on the offensive line also. Docs Falcon says, at least you're not the Jets. Well, there's another New York team that I can get into. I mean, we can get into the New York Jets as also. Like, the New York Jets are young. The New York Jets have a ton of talent also. It's crazy to me, though, and I was just thinking about this the other day. It's like New York Jets fans are so odd. And the reason why they're so odd is because, Mike White had that one great game, and they were like, oh, we want to see what Mike White can do. What are you fucking talking about? You just drafted Zach Wilson at number 2. Zach Wilson has a ton of talent. He's having a mediocre rookie season. He's going through some learning curves. But Zach Wilson, I still believe is going to be a decent quarterback. Roll with Zach Wilson, see what he does in year 2. The Jets, again, they're another team. They've got a lot of young talent, a lot of bright potential in their future. Obviously, coming out of this past year's draft is Elijah Vera Tucker, the offensive lineman. I believe he's out of USC, I think. And then there is running back Michael Turner that they were able to get. And then there's also wide receiver Elijah Moore that they were able to get. On the defensive line, Keenan Williams is not that old. Keenan Williams is only like 24, and he's already one of the top 10 defensive tackles in the league. So they have a lot to build around too. My personal thing with the Jets is, and I've said this about other teams, and I say this about the Jacksonville Jaguars coaching search, is they have a defensive coordinator. They hired a defensive coordinator as their head coach. My personal opinion is that defensive coordinators, when you promote them to your head coach, they hardly ever pan out. Yeah, have they panned out for some teams every now and again? Yeah, sure. But, me personally, as I don't think Robert Saleh was the right guy. Yeah, does he bring discipline to your team? Sure. But, in today's day in the NFL, you want to hire an offensive-minded head coach. The reason why is because most likely your head coach is going to be calling the offensive plays, right? So there's that. Mike says, but there are some rumors going around that Joe Judge doesn't have any say because of Mara. Good. Because Joe Judge seems to have lost his mind 2 years ago. Docs Falcon says the Eagles do make mistakes also at the wideout position. Yeah, I mean, Howie Roseman, look, I'm not coming down. I'm not coming down on anybody. Howie Roseman has made mistakes at the wideout position year in, year out. That's no doubt. No doubt. Howie Roseman is absolutely god awful at drafting wide receivers, and I do not know why. Devontae Smith is the exception, but Devontae Smith was the 10th overall pick in the first round, and something tells me that that was more so like Nick Sirianni being like, "No, we got to go get that guy. Like he's the dude. He's the dude." So I bet you $20 that Howie Roseman wanted to take. I bet you Howie didn't even want Devontae Smith. That would be such a that would be such a Howie thing too. Like obviously there's no reports of this, but I bet you Howie didn't want Devontae Smith. Let's say that they both wanted to go wide receiver at 10, and Howie was probably like, "Oh, I want the dude. I want that one dude." He was Terrence Marshall Jr. Terrence Marshall Jr. I bet Howie Roseman, if Nick Sirianni didn't have any say over that 10th pick, Howie Roseman would have taken Terrence Marshall Jr. at 10. And the Eagles fans would be sitting here like, fuck. Now, me personally, I like Terrence Marshall Jr. actually coming out of college. I didn't think he was obviously worth the 10th overall pick, and thank goodness he wasn't. But lo and behold, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Howie Roseman's god awful at drafting wide receivers, and definitely needs to be better. Mike says he's the interim head coach. They started their head coaching. The Jaguars have brought in Doug Peterson. Yes, I do know that. I think they did a phone interview initially, and now they're doing a in-person interview, which is good news. Look, my personal opinion about the Jags head coaching search is I don't think that there's anybody better than Doug Peterson for that job. I know that they were looking at Todd Bowles and also Byron Leftwich. Me personally is I get the attraction to Byron Leftwich, and I get the attraction to Todd Bowles. The Buccaneers defense has been good. And I get the attraction to Byron Leftwich because obviously he is the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. However, there's one key element that kind of takes me away from Byron Leftwich, and that is this. How do you know that, most of the coordination of the offense isn't coming from Tom Brady? That's the one thing is like, if you take Tom Brady away from Byron Leftwich and see what happens. You know what I mean? Take Tom Brady away from Byron Leftwich and see what happens. Are we still talking about him as a head coaching candidate? Probably not. And then when it comes to Todd Bowles, same thing goes. Is I don't believe in the philosophy of hiring a defensive coordinator as a head coach. I just don't. I think it works. I think it fails more than it works out, unfortunately. But Kellen Moore, obviously these are two other, Kellen Moore and Doug Peterson. I think that those are two obvious candidates. I think honestly your coaching search should come down to those two guys, to be completely frank and honest. If I were Shaq Khan, those are the two guys it would come down to. Tox Falcon says, if we all learn something, never hire a defensive coach as a head coach. Exactly. Not everybody can be Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Not everybody can be Bill Belichick. Plain and simple. And even before he was the head coach of the New England Patriots, he didn't do well in Cleveland. He did not do well in Cleveland. So there's that. Mike says he also played for Jacksonville Jaguars as well. Oh, the interim head coach? Oh, Byron Leftwich played. Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that. Byron Leftwich was the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right. Man, oh man. Feels like a lifetime ago, but it really wasn't. It was maybe 15 years ago. 15 years ago, maybe. Wow. I completely forgot about that. I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, so again, okay, so that makes that's good. Um so loyalty might play into a factor. Familiarity might play into a factor. Might play in as a factor, So, but again, I think that would that would put him up there with the strong candidates, but again, if Shaq Khan is smart, he kind of has to push those things aside. He has to push those things aside and say, well, okay, well, what do we actually believe this guy can do these sorts of things without Tom Brady or a quarterback like Tom Brady? Now I get that he's going to be walking into a situation with Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence is nowhere near that type of player yet. Nowhere near that type of player. And we don't know if he's ever going to be that type of player. We see busts in the NFL all the time. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is a bust, but I'm just saying, just for contrast and comparison purposes, what can you do? What can you do? You never know. You never know. Talks Falcons as Falcons rise up. Oh boy. And beat Buffalo. Do it. Do it. Go ahead. Go out and beat Buffalo. Go out and beat Buffalo. I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. Go out and beat Buffalo, man. Go out and beat Buffalo. Talks Falcons' question: why hasn't Doug Peterson gotten any NFL head coach jobs? He won a Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure he just wanted to take the year off. Look, last year was a bad year for everybody in Philadelphia. Everyone. Guys, this is what's left of my smoothie. Yeah, last year was a bad year for everybody in Philadelphia. I mean, Carson Wentz was off, went through a revolving door on the offensive line. Doug Peterson didn't know what to do. Got criticism for benching Jalen Hurts in the last game of the season. And honestly, I think that he really wanted to take a year off to address a lot of things in his personal life, and he's done that, and he's able to take a step back. Look, there's been a few interviews with Doug Peterson where he's discussed all this and said all this, and I think he's gonna come, and he's also said that he doesn't expect to spend more than a year away from coaching, and I expect him to be a fireball when it comes to this Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching search, and therefore so far he is, and I honestly think it's going to come down to him and a couple others. Maybe it will be Byron Leftwich, maybe it won't be Kellen Moore at all, but I think that Doug Peterson will definitely be in the final three for sure. Big Play Slay, what's up, my man? Happy Saturday. Happy New Year to you. I hope you're doing good. I hope 2022 is treating you right so far, my man. And excited about the Eagles game tomorrow. It looks like Jordan Howard is going to go. I know that Talks Falcons and Mike and I have talked about this already. But it looks like Jordan Howard is going to go. I know that he's listed as questionable on the injury report. But the fact the Philadelphia Eagles did elevate 2 practice squad players, and neither one of them were a running back, says to me that Jordan Howard is going to be okay for the game tomorrow. So, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, this is, as I was saying before, this is the remnants of my smoothie that I just had. If you want to know what's in it, it's 2 bananas, about a cup and a half of blueberries, 2 heaping scoops of peanut butter, and chocolate protein powder. Absolutely phenomenal. It's a phenomenal combination. Phenomenal fucking combination. You know what I'm saying? Getting 2022 started off right. Started off with a fucking bang. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is I think Shaka Khan really needs to decide who he's going to have more faith in. And I mean, look, that's a perfect thing that you brought up, Mike. That you reminded me of is that Byron Leftwich started at quarterback, played quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, completely forgot about that. So there is a familiarity there. There is a sense of family there. There is a sense of loyalty there. And but Shaq Khan also needs to look at the fact that Doug Peterson was successful in grooming Carson Wentz to have, the successful 2017 season that he had. And then also, bringing that team together, galvanizing that team, because that 2017 did go through injuries, and we were able to overcome some adversity, and then win the Super Bowl with our backup quarterback. So I think that those are all important key things to look at when it comes to possibly bringing in Doug Peterson as the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Shaq Khan has tons of money to throw around at anybody he wants, and but he needs to it's time for him to make the right decision. It's time for him to make the right decision because Doug Marrone was mediocre. I mean, compared to Urban Meyer, he was a fucking legend. Doug Marrone was mediocre. Urban Meyer was a complete failure, and I think we all saw it coming. Yeah, so there's that. Mike says, right now I'm rooting for the Colts to win the Super Bowl because I like Carson Wentz. I've always liked Carson Wentz, and I always love Jonathan Taylor. He, probably my second favorite running back in the league. Oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor is phenomenal. Yeah, no, I have a shit ton of admiration for Jonathan Taylor. So I want to bring something up because I know that this is a hot fire topic. Anytime we talk about the MVP race, guys, it really wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't that long ago that a running back won MVP. And I'm gonna bring up a list here, and we're gonna talk about some similarities between these types of seasons that these running backs had during their MVP season. So Adrian Peterson was the last one to win MVP at running back in 2012. Yep, Mike says AP. Yep, in 2012. In 2012, Adrian Peterson had a phenomenal fucking year. He ran, pretty sure it was that's the year, that was his bounce back year, wasn't it? And he ran for 2,000 yards. I believe that's right. And then before that, a running back won it in back-to-back years. In 2005, it was Shaun Alexander. Now, what did Shaun Alexander do in 2005? Shaun Alexander broke the touchdown record. He broke the touchdown. Well, actually, he tied it. Everybody said that he broke it, but actually, if you go ahead and look back, he tied it. And guess who won MVP the following season? A running back by the name of LaDainian Tomlinson. Guess what LaDainian Tomlinson did when he was 26 years old? He broke Shaun Alexander's record and broke the rushing touchdown record. Guys, those are the types of seasons that running backs need to have to win MVP. So I get that Jonathan Taylor's having a phenomenal season, and I completely agree with that fact. But the touchdowns aren't quite there yet. The touchdowns aren't quite there. So, I think it needs to go to Aaron Rodgers, to be completely honest. But let's talk about this as well. Is okay. So you like the Colts? You like the Colts, Mike? I like that. I like that. I like the Colts too. You know, I see. Here's the thing: is like I have a ton of admiration for Frank Reich. I still like Carson. I still like Carson. You know, I think he after being able to compare and contrast the different personalities between Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, is I can say this now we have something to compare it to. Carson wasn't right for the city of Philadelphia. His personality wasn't right for the city of Philadelphia. Jalen's is. But I still have admiration for Carson Wentz. And I think for him to have a bounce back year would be a phenomenal thing. Can Carson Wentz win comeback player of the year? Is that something we could talk about here? Can we talk about Carson Wentz possibly winning comeback player of the year? Is that a thing? Is that something that we should bring up? Mike says 8 yards shy of the single season record. Still pisses me off that Brad Childress didn't let him get the record. Oh, I know. It was so stupid. It was that final game too, right? It was that final game. I remember watching it. He had like I think he had 3 touchdowns in the game already. 3 rushing touchdowns in the game already, and they just didn't give it to him. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I remember that LaDainian Tomlinson season like it was yesterday. Remember that LaDainian Tomlinson season like it was yesterday. Or are you talking about AP? I think you're talking about AP, actually. You are talking about AP. My bad. Yeah, no, I know. King says, does Devontae need like 90 yards to break D-Jack's rookie record? Yes, he does. Yeah, he does. I think it's like 98 yards, honestly. Deshaun Jackson, he had like 52 receptions and 912 yards his rookie season. And Devontae, what is Devontae at currently? But it would be great. It would be great for Devontae to break it this week, because then you could say they broke it in the same amount of games. Now, obviously, we get an extra game this season. So I'm hoping that Devontae goes off against the Washington football team. Mike says, Adrian Peterson, I'm talking about. Yeah, that's my bad. I made that mistake. Yeah, no, I know. Adrian Peterson, he only needed like 8 yards. Fucking ridiculous, man. What is Devontae at? I was just looking at this yesterday, too. I was just looking at this yesterday. Zach Ertz is having a good season again, though. He's got 78 receptions for 827 yards. So there's that. Right, Devontae Smith. Devontae has 58 receptions for 821 yards. So yeah, it's about 90 something. He's a 92. Damien Creative, welcome to the chat today. Happy New Year. Happy Saturday, Happy New Year. Devontae Smith, 821 yards. Yeah, he needs about like 90 something yards to break Deshaun Jackson's rookie receiving yard record. So that will be pretty cool if he could do it. In tomorrow's game. I'm hoping that I believe that he's going to do it this season regardless. I'm just hoping that he can do it in tomorrow's game, because then they can say oh, we did it in the same amount of games. That would be pretty awesome. What would be even cooler is if he broke the 1,000-yard mark tomorrow, but that would require an elite level game tomorrow from Devontae Smith. So, Damian Graves says, "Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year to everyone again." By the way, Happy 2022. I hope it's treating everybody right so far. But yeah, guys, like we talked about, really excited for tomorrow's game. I do believe that Jordan Howard is going to go, and I do want to reiterate that just because they didn't call any running backs up from the practice squad, even though he is listed as questionable. So indicates good signs, or insinuates good signs for Jordan Howard's playing time on Sunday tomorrow. But I do believe that they're probably going to give him a limited amount of touches. Therefore, we're probably going to see a little bit more of Kenny Gainwell, a little bit more of Boston Scott. But we'll still be able to see Jordan Howard, get some of those tough yards. Hopefully. Mike says, "Do you think that Cooper Kupp is going to break Calvin Johnson's record for receiving yards? He's at 1734. The record is 1964." Ooh, I do. The thing is, I think that obviously, I think it's going to take him. I think it's going to require the final 2 games of the season for Cooper Kupp to do it. And therefore, I think the more impressive season will still lie in the hands of Calvin Johnson, because Calvin Johnson would have done it in 16 games, whereas Cooper Kupp would have gotten the opportunity to do it in 17 games. So, so I do believe he might do. Yeah, I do believe he'll do it, but it will require next week's game. So it's gonna be pretty cool though. It's still an incredible feat. Obviously for Cooper Kupp, it's an incredible season. He's having a phenomenal season. And I think I said this earlier in the week. Last week is it was the 2017 off season. Yeah, it was the 2017 off season. Carson Wentz was actually throwing passes to a young draft prospect by the name of Cooper Kupp. Now, Carson Wentz had already been drafted by the Eagles, had played his rookie season with the Philadelphia Eagles, and in the following offseason, Carson Wentz was throwing passes to a young draft prospect, Cooper Kupp, and there were murmurs saying that Carson Wentz was interested in the Eagles drafting Cooper Kupp, but lo and behold, obviously they never did. So is that another wide receiver that we can count among the missed wide receivers when it comes to Howie Roseman drafting wide receivers? Maybe. I mean, like, did Carson Wentz give Howie Roseman advice on Cooper Kupp? And he was like, "Nah, bro. Nah. We like this guy. We like this guy, Mac Wilson. What was his name? The guy that we drafted in the second round before we took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round. I think it was the following year. Mac Wilson, right? I think that was his name." Mike says, "I kind of hope he doesn't cause. I kind of hope he doesn't, because Calvin Johnson is my favorite wide receiver of all time. Calvin Johnson is going to go down as one of the top 5 wide receivers of all time, plain and simple. Again, like I said, I think the more impressive season is still going to come down to, it's still going to lie in the hands and still going to be, that title is still going to be owned by Calvin Johnson. You can say the same thing about Eric Dickerson and Adrian Peterson, pretty much, and those 2,000-yard seasons. Eric Dickerson, I think it was Eric Dickerson who ran for 2,000 yards, but it was a 13 game season way back then, or something like that. And Adrian Peterson needed 16 games to do it. You know what I mean? So where does the more impressive season lie? You know what I'm saying? And a guy who did it in 13 or a guy who did it in 16? You tell me. You tell me. Math is not my strongest suit, but something tells me that I think if you get more opportunities, the more opportunities that you get, I think, the chances of you either succeeding or failing, increase. Mac Hollins. That's right. That's funny that a Giants fan needs to tell me who my draft picks were. That just goes to show that he wasn't very well revered in Philly. That's actually not entirely true. I actually liked Mac Hollins. I thought they should keep Mac Hollins, and they decided not to, because I still, the Philly fans were down on Mac Hollins like they were down on Nelson Aguilar after one rookie season, and I was like, well, what about that 70-yard deep bomb that Carson threw to Mac Hollins in 2017? And it looked just absolutely phenomenal. It was down the seam. I don't remember what game it was, but it was absolutely phenomenal. And you wouldn't see JJ Arcega-Whiteside doing that. You just wouldn't see JJ Arcega-Whiteside doing that. In fact, JJ Arcega-Whiteside has never done that. And then they got rid of Mac Hollins and draft JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and the rest is history, unfortunately. But no, I know Mac Hollins is in Miami now, and he's become a serviceable wide receiver. I feel like he's done more in the NFL than JJ Arcega-Whiteside has done. So, but again, getting back to the more impressive season talk is, yeah, I think it comes down to Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson would still own that title. Mike says, hey, I'm just a big draft guy, so I follow all football. Mac Hollins out of UNC. I actually like Mac Hollins. Yeah, no, I did too. Honestly. And obviously, when it comes to the draft, I become a big draft guy too when it comes to that point in time. You seem like, yeah. So that's why I love having you on, man, is we can talk about prospects and guys like that. But yeah, no, I liked Mac Hollins. I liked Mac Hollins a lot. Not a lot, but I thought that he was a good number 4. I think he was a good number 4 at the time, and he was a good change-up wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017. Because they had Torrey Smith, they had Alshon Jeffrey, they had Nelson Aguilar, and then you could sprinkle in Mac Hollins every now and again, and it would work. And so I liked it. That's what I think is like that's what you want your number 4 to be. A guy that you can sprinkle in, that you can rely on when you sprinkle him in to the game plan. Unfortunately, like it's hard for me to, I'm not trying to sound cynical or anything like that, but it's hard for me to think about Mac Hollins and not think about JJ Arcega-Whiteside. It's like, because that was the replacement. That was the guy that you got. You got rid of Mac Hollins after 1 year, and you brought in JJ Arcega-Whiteside the following year, and it's like, bro. And maybe it wasn't 1 year. Maybe they kept him on for another year, but he didn't get a shot. He just didn't. And I think that kind of falls in line with some of the issues that Doug Peterson was having on orchestrating this depth chart and being loyal to some of the veteran players, because he didn't need to be. It became a numbers issue in Philadelphia with Mac Hollins, I believe. And obviously, Alshon Jeffrey went down, and then he came back, and then I don't know. Couldn't explain it. Mike says, "Did you get a chance to watch the college football playoffs yesterday, especially that Georgia game, man. They shut Aiden Hutchinson down yesterday. I did. Yeah, no, I did. And man, that's not going to be good for his tape coming into the draft, but I'm sure it's not going to change that much. I mean, that's kind of what you expect. You expect big time teams to game plan against you in big time games, and Aiden Hutchinson obviously needed to be shut down because Aiden Hutchinson is a freak of nature. So, it's wishful thinking for the Eagles fans to think that they're going to get their hands on Aiden Hutchinson. They're not. He's going to go in the top 5, plain and simple. Even Thibodeau, right? Thibodeau is going to go in the top 5 also. I listened to the Dan Sileo show, and like he likes to talk about right now the team that he's covering obviously is the Philadelphia Eagles, and so it's like he looks at who would be good in this draft, the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's like, man, I like that guy Thibodeau. I like that guy Thibodeau out of Oregon, or like Aiden Hutchinson. It's like the Eagles aren't going to have a shot at either one of those guys, bro. What are you talking about? The Eagles draft picks right now are now like at 19, 23, and something like that. I think it's like 19, 20, and 23 or something. It's nowhere near the top 10 now. And honestly, I like, then people ask, like, what if we traded up for one of these guys? I don't necessarily want to trade up for one of these guys either. You know what I mean? I think you just kind of got to sit where you are and take the guys that are the best available. That's what I think. Unless one of these guys falls to like 15, which I don't see happening, but unless one of them falls to 15, or if you want to trade up for like defensive tackle Jordan, what's his name? Jordan, not Jordan Phillips. It's not Jordan Phillips. Who am I thinking of? Mike? Who am I thinking of? Defensive tackle. Unless you want to trade up for that guy, then and he's at 15 and he's sitting there, and that he's going to be like the next Fletcher, and that he's going to be the best replacement for Fletcher Cox coming out of this first round. He's 6'1", 346 pounds or something like that. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Then yeah, go ahead and trade up. Go ahead and trade up to 15, but it's going to require so much draft capital for you to trade up from like 19 and 20 to and 23 to 5. It really is. Like, it really is. Like, I don't want Howie Roseman trading up that far. Howie Roseman can trade up a few spots, not that far. Jordan Davis. I almost said Jordan Phillips. Mike says Thibodeau has a lot to work on, though. His run defense is abysmal, and he needs to work on his technique. But yeah, he's going top 5 as well. Well, here's what I think. I think that, I mean, if here's that sounds like something that could make him fall. But unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna fall. I think he is gonna go in the top 5, like we're talking about. But I think that if you put him in the right room, you put him in the right defensive line room with some veterans that know what they're doing, with the right defensive coach, the right defensive line coach, he'll be able to get that run game figured out. He'll be able to get that run defense figured out. I mean, Brandon Graham, I take Brandon Graham, for example. Like, Brandon Graham was always pretty good against the run. At the beginning of his career, he wasn't great against the run like he is now. He's absolutely exceptional against the run. I mean, I just look at players like him, and like he is a guy that exemplifies what it means to work on your technique, day in, day out, and continue to get better, and the results have come through. So I believe that Thibodeau can do that. That is definitely something that you can work on. So not worried about that for him. Mike says Jordan Davis from Georgia. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, People have talked about Jordan Davis being linked to Philadelphia Eagles in this upcoming draft, and I'm like, go for it. Go for it. Mike says, who do you think would fit the Giants more? Hutchinson? Who do you think would fit the Giants more? Hutchinson or Thibodeau? Ooh. My honest opinion is Hutchinson. My honest opinion is Hutchinson, just because he seems like a blue collar type of guy, and he would just be that. Yeah, for some reason, I feel like he embodies what Jeremy Shockey used to embody for the New York Giants. I feel like he would bring that to the defensive line, and bring it to that pass rush. He's going to be a big. Obviously, you know what he would bring to that team. So, I think Aiden Hutchinson would fit you guys better. What do you think, Mike? Oh, okay. Hutchinson would fit us more. I agree. Obviously, I agree. Um, yeah. As far as fits are, and here's the thing too is again when it comes to Thibodeau, I think it's gonna come down to what room does he get drafted to? What room does he get drafted to? Because I mean, not being successful against, not like having some struggles against the run is going to be an issue. Obviously, it's become it's an issue right now for teams. We're seeing that. Obviously, the Colts run the ball successfully, and that's how they win. The Philadelphia Eagles run the ball successfully. That's how they win. And I think that it's kind of switching and flipping because teams have spent the last few years kind of getting these faster, smaller players because they need to adjust to the pass because that's what the NFL has become. And now offenses can go out and run the ball because of the faster, smaller players that defenses are more likely to have. And you need to be able to stop the run. So Thibodeau, wherever Thibodeau gets drafted, that's going to need to be their focus, obviously. And so I could see him falling, but we'll see. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, I like Jordan Davis. I also like Kyle Hamilton. I also would like them to go after a cornerback. There's a few guys that I would like for them, but and obviously I like the linebacker out of Georgia also. What's his name? Why can't I think of anybody's name off the top of my head today? So but as soon as we get closer to the draft, as soon as we get closer to February, maybe I'll sprinkle some things in because I know your team is kind of out of it. We'll start to do more free agency draft streams, things like that. Nakobe Dean, right? Mike says also, I think that Nakobe Dean would fit the Eagles like glove from Georgia. If you get him, that would be a monster of a pick. He's someone that I've been looking at for the past couple months, maybe past few months actually. So he's definitely Devin Lloyd and Nakobe. So Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean, but I definitely like Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. Definitely like Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. Thing is will Howie Roseman take a linebacker in the first round? That is the thing. Will he do that? It will need to be done. They're going to have a ton of money to spend in free agency also. So that's going to be a huge thing. And that's going to give them a lot of wiggle room to kind of do whatever they want with these 3 first-round picks. So depending upon what they do with free agency, Mike says Devin Lloyd is a monster too. Yeah, there's some good linebackers coming out in this draft, and the Eagles need to go out and they need to fucking grab one. It's like, bro, there is a difference. There is a difference between Levante David and Devin White. There is a difference between who the Buccaneers have and Casey Matthews, right? There's a difference between Devin White and Casey Matthews. There's a difference between Devin White and Davion Taylor. Okay. There's a difference between Levante David and Davion Taylor. There's a difference between a ton. I mean, who else am I thinking about? There's a difference between Patrick Queen, right, and TJ Edwards. It's like, go out, get yourself a fucking good linebacker. I'm tired of playing this game. Unfortunately, I don't think the linebackers might fall. The linebackers might fall. The safeties might fall. They might have a shot at Kyle Hamilton. Too. I don't know. Safeties tend to fall in the draft, but I know that Kyle Hamilton is definitely more of a hybrid player and can play true safety also. So he will have a shot at being one of those top safeties picked. Mike Nixon says, if y'all grab Jacoby Dean and Devin Lloyd, y'all linebacker core would scare me. There is no way in hell that Howie Roseman is going to grab 2 linebackers in the first round. Let alone the chances are already slim to none for him grabbing 1 linebacker in the first round. If it were me on Madden, I would definitely take Devin Lloyd and Jacoby Dean. If I had multiple first-round picks. And that's kind of all I really need to do, because I know that I could find a wide receiver later in the draft, or I know that I could find a running back later in the draft, or something along those lines, or I would be okay with Fletcher Cox for a couple more years, and Javon Hargrave, and find ways to make probably re-sign Anthony. That's probably what I would do in Madden, is resign Anthony Harris. We'll get Kayvon Wallace back, or Kavon Wallace back, and Marcus Epps. I really like him. I think he's playing really well. Make that secondary work. You know what I mean, and probably sign a cornerback in free agency. I don't know. I'd find a way to make it work. I'd find a way to make it work. But unfortunately, yeah, there's nothing to be scared of, because Mike, that's just not going to happen. I severely doubt actually that the Eagles are going to grab either one of those players. Honestly, I don't think that they're gonna grab Jacoby Dean, and I don't think they're gonna grab Devin Lloyd. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the truth of the matter is, with 3, this is what I believe that they're gonna do. Is I believe that they're gonna grab a guy like Jordan Davis if they can, if he's there. And then they're gonna go out and they're gonna grab an edge rusher. They're gonna get an edge rusher. They're gonna get an inside guy. And then probably trade back with the other first round pick. It's probably what they're gonna do. It's not gonna be that exciting. Not gonna be that exciting. In fact, it's probably gonna be quite boring. I'm just playing. No, we're definitely going to do more streams about free agency, about the draft, about, the combine, and Senior Bowl, and, the East Coast, West Coast trying game. Hopefully they have all that this year. I know Omicron is really fucking things up with that. But we'll see. I'm hoping that they have the combine. But, looks like we've been on for about an hour and 12 minutes, and that's good enough for me. Guys, I thank you so much for joining in. Happy New Year again. Happy 2022. Happy Saturday to everyone, and I hope that everybody's New Year starts off right. I know that you're certainly going to see a lot more from me, so that's exciting. I hope everybody has a lot more empathy, patience, and kindness, and love, and peace, and happiness in their new year, in their life, in new year, in the year 2022. So one love, guys. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. One love. Happy Saturday, and go Birds, baby.